You're a burglar, but you only steal things to slightly inconvenience your victims. What are you stealing?
I would steal every measuring cup but the 1/3 one.
The one that nobody ever needs.
Yeah. You use it for one recipe.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to JG's Lounge. I am your host, Jukebox Ginger, and man, am I excited. Next to me, I got Bobby Fran. He was on just a few days ago. I was like, man, hey, I'm having this wonderful guest on tonight. How about you come on and we'll both interview him? So, Bobby, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you inviting me here for this tonight. When you told me who you were interviewing, I was like his book. I'm like, he's that guy. I definitely want to be part of this.
He's interviewing me from a bar.
Yeah, proper pub. How you like that?
I didn't get that. And you look like you're in a nice place. Yeah. I just got my place. You know.
Your green screen is also very convincing. You look like you're in a nice living room. Fair enough.
Oh, it's just
Larry, man, you've been on once before, but how the hell are you, man?
I'm fine, as long as it doesn't rain or wind or cave in the roof, or I live in an apartment house. I think I'm safe. But yeah, everything's fine.
Are you on a top level, a bottom level, or?
I'm in the middle. I'm right in the middle. It's the 6th floor, and the first 2 or 3 floors are parking. So that's kind of cool, actually. You don't have to worry about it.
That's good.
And I live near the beach, so I get a lot of rain. I just saw a map showing what the dangers, if the water rises above a certain level. I saw it's changing the beach already. I went down there. It's the tide, the ocean is changing the beach. It's the beach is lower, so the water comes closer. So I saw a map that has if you live in Venice, that's where I live,
right,
and you live in this area, and then you're gonna be underwater when the tide comes up to that point. And I'm in a danger zone. So I'm on the 6th floor. So I'm safe, but my car is on the 2nd floor, and I'll probably not be able to drive out because the water will stop my car. Right. So I'm trapped here. Basically, that was the conclusion. I'll be safe but trapped.
What if you just put a kayak on top of your car?
Yeah, or they'll have to come, from me, go down to the 4th floor and get into the boat. Anyway, fine.
Larry, I appreciate you coming back on tonight, man. Seriously, and usually, yes, you have a book, you do, and we're gonna talk about that today.
That's one of the reasons why.
That's really When I messaged you, I was like, "Hey, you want to come on, but do an evening show before you go to bed?" And you're like, "And when do you think I go to bed?"
I thought, if it's a podcast, it's got to be at midnight or 2 a.m. because that's when I used to watch. No, not watch, but I used to. Listen to. I used to park cars when I was a kid, late at night. In these beach nightclubs, and so we used to listen to late night. They were basically podcasts back in the day, but they were at 12 midnight or 1 in the morning. So that's what I thought you were referring to. When do you think? But I don't know. With this COVID thing and the weather freezing, I go to bed pretty early, just when I get tired, and get up early.
And I work some 12, 13-hour shifts sometimes, so I come home and I'll be passed out by the time I step my foot in the door.
So, but this is the first time I've ever done an interview at night, because every day when I would do an interview, I have a picture window so I could open it, and the room would be lit. And all of a sudden, 8 o'clock at night, I'm doing your show. It's dark, and I'm going, wait a minute, So I had to rejiggle. But that's the guy.
There's your book. That's it, man.
It's a serious book.
Now, is this a story about your life, or sort of like your perception of it?
It's the truth. As I saw it from my point of view of show business in Hollywood and show business, from the time that I got out of college, Greenwich Village, open mic nights, and then on. So from about my age of, when do you graduate? 18, 19? I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, 18,
So
17,
from
18,
my
19.
from 18 and 19, and I went to Greenwich Village, and I didn't want to be an industrial designer. So the book is about. I started there,
Right.
Greenwich Village, and then, but mainly it's all about the famous roles that I've done. Mr. Heckles, Old Joe, Tom Pepper. And then these obscure ones that only fans and
Yeah.
watch.
Right.
Lots of them. So that's what I wrote about. But I wanted to see who I was and if I could do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a pretty interesting life, actually. Everybody would tell me that. And I'm a
Now-
storyteller. I'm a born storyteller.
I was curious, and I think we kind of vaguely touched base on this last time, but there's a reason why a lot of your roles are shorter roles, correct?
Yeah, yes, that's a big yes. Because I'm dyslexic mainly. I mean, my agents, nobody took me seriously. I mean that so those two things together, dyslexia and nobody took my acting seriously. So my agents would send me up for funny roles, and funny roles are either very rarely are they leads or major roles. They're like sidekicks and what they call comic turns. In a movie, it would be, a scene that's just funny. Yeah, but does it move the story forward? No, man, it's just funny. No, let's just do it. So, I would get those, be sent up. And since I liked it and I was a stand-up comedian and I was into comedy, I'd love it because I could kind of work out stuff, because I wanted to make my own films. That's the other thing. I didn't really care. I'm not an actor, you know what I mean? I mean, do I know what I mean? I mean that I'm not. I wasn't born to be an actor. I'm a storyteller. So I just want to, what is this? How do you remember these earlier times in your life? I can remember what I ate yesterday. Neither can I. That's the deal. That's the secret, you fool. You can't remember tomorrow. Nobody is interested in what you ate yesterday. But they want to know how you grew up and what your dad was like, and did he torture you like mine? And that's what you want to write about.
Right.
So yeah, long-term memory is more permanent than short-term memory. The first thing to go when you get older is your short-term memory. You walk into a room and you don't know why. That's
yeah.
You got to, So yeah, it's not you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just you should be able to remember things. And if you start to write, like I read a lot of memoir books,
Right.
to get the gist of it. And they all say the same thing when they teach it. They say, write. Which it's kind of neat. It's the only time in art I've ever heard anybody ever give that as instruction. They say it's only about you writing memoirs, a book about your memory. It's only about you. Nobody's interested in what you think was somebody else was thinking.
Right.
He probably thought that. No. They just want to know what you saw and what you thought. They want to know how you went through life. That's hard to do, man, because it's you think you're either being show-offy or you got to handle that, and then you can't make up shit.
Would you say that most of these interviews, like, is it very repetitive, like the questions that people ask?
I mean, yes and no at the same time, because you will ask me about my life. I mean, I only have one life. There's only, but there's so many stations of the cross in my life that you and the other podcasters are going to ask about, and you never ask about the same thing about the same thing. You never ask the same question, or you'll ask it different, because I've been clocking it, looking for, because I want to do my book in a show, talk it, appear on it, because mainly it's monologues. It's about how I felt about doing this role, or what I had to do to get this role, or what I had to wear and what I didn't want to do. So it's about that from my point of view.
Okay.
And that's just hard to maintain. You always want to describe or talk about somebody else. I don't know. It's very interesting.
And I never really lived on the East Coast, Bobby. I know you did. Maybe you can talk a little bit about or ask some questions about his childhood or something on being on the East Coast.
No, I was just looking at your IMDb, and may I say, sir, that your IMDb is thoroughly impressive. I mean, it goes back to the 1960s, and it reads like a who's who of like every television show. I read it, and I see things that occurred to me, and the first thing that occurred to me is hustle. Like whoever this person is a hustler, because I mean, for multiple decades, you've literally put yourself in at least one episode of like every major like movie and television show that's out there. How did you go about doing? I know you said that that your dyslexia was a factor in determining your roles. Was that the only determining factor in like selecting some of these roles that you did?
Not in the beginning, because I've been a dyslexic all my life. I just never knew it, and there wasn't a word for it, and it didn't come into. The scientists didn't discover, medical people didn't discover, dyslexia, until I was about 35, where it became, I think 1 out of 5 people in the United States has some sort of dyslexia. It's very hard to pin down. My dyslexia is the formulation of information coming in and going out. That turning point in your mind where you're talking to me and then I answer what you said. So in other words, when it went in, the question, I had to understand it and then formulate an answer to come out. Okay, that center point where it goes from getting it in, understanding it, and sending it out is wobbly. So I have to guess at what you're saying. No, not for short things, not like an hour. But I mean, like I had to learn something, like a language or something like that. It's a chore. It takes me. So to give you an example of in show business, to answer your question, I have to. My agent would say, Larry gets this script with the first person in your production. Because he needs the lag time to learn his lines. So I would always get the first rewrite with whoever else got the first rewrite. But that was in my contract. And so as long as that just came upon me, they would send me out for bigger and bigger things. And I'd say, it's getting harder and harder to learn these things. So, maybe so I started to understand it's dyslexia. And so I said, hey, just tell them to send me the script early. That's all. So they did. And, very fun. But then near the end, when I a couple of, it was about 2015, 2014. The last show I did was Barry, but no.
Yeah. Breaking Bad. There's one Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. The last Breaking Bad, the movie. The movie El Camino.
El Camino.
I just, Vince Gilligan pushed me over the top. He pushed me to the edge of my control. He liked my acting. He really did. And he liked my audition, and he liked what I did in the other 2 shows, the TV shows. So, in one of the shows, he gave me, because he liked me and he liked my acting, and he liked the character, that he ordered a monologue written for me, an entire page. And I received it 2 hours before I had to shoot it, which I knew as soon as I got it. I said, hey, man, you called my bluff. I need 3 days for a page monologue. You got to get the script to me 3 days before. So 2 hours, I knew. But the interesting thing about that, if I could go on for a second here.
Yeah, of course.
That's one of the stories that I like. What happened was I decided, since I grew up, I came through Second City and the Committee, an improv actor. That was great because that has nothing to do with that dyslexia thing. It's just whatever comes up in your mind or my mind.
Yeah. When you improv, nothing can be wrong, right?
Right.
Nothing can be wrong, but nothing. But yeah, if nothing is wrong.
Okay.
The way they say it, the way it's taught is only agreement. No, only agreement on stage. No, if you say, well, here we are in a bar, you can't say, well, my living room looks really nice. No, he said bar, we're in a bar.
You have to go, right, you have to build on it.
Yeah, you just build on the agreement. So I decided I wasn't going to cop to the fact that I couldn't memorize this monologue in the 2 hours I had. I thought, well, I'll improvise it, drumpy, jolly me. I'll improvise it, I just have to keep the cop out of the Winnebago. And I have a script, this monologue, with all the references. It was all legal. It was all a legal thing. So I freaked out when I got it. When this young kid, an AD, handed me hey, here's this new script. I go, what is this? He says, well, they wrote you, Vince Gilligan wrote you a monologue. No, man, no. And I start to freak out right in front of this. He's about, 18 or something. And he goes, whoa, man. That's all he said. He goes, I gotta get that. Boom, and he left. And I thought, okay, I'll improvise it. I tried to memorize it, but I couldn't. So when I went out onto now I had shot just what I was hired to shoot in the morning. And that went fine. Everybody thought, oh, that's great. Right. So now I get out there and the director says, okay, Larry, you ready to do this? Because he knew it was just 2 hours, And I said, yeah. And now here's my secret. This is the secret. Every actor has to have a secret of some sort. My secret was, if I'm going to improvise this and it doesn't go well, and they want me to do it as written, and I won't be able to do that, then I'll be fired. And I've got to fire myself right now so I can calm down and do this. So I fired myself in my Winnebago in my dressing room. I said, okay, now, Larry, you're fired. You fucked up. You didn't memorize it. You can't do it. Okay, they're going to have to get another guy, blah, blah, blah. They're going to shoot around. It's going to be, everybody's going crazy. I'm calm. I'm going home now. There are other jobs. Okay, I'm ready to go. Let's go. And I went up there and he goes, okay, Larry, you ready to do this? I said, because I knew I was fired, man. It's so cool. And so I said, but I did make an attempt to work around it and work with them. So I said, hey, he says, you got any questions? And I say, no, but I think, I figured out how we could really shoot this scene. And the director goes, you figured out how to shoot this scene. Direct this scene. Yeah. Because, I was fired, so I was cool.
You really went all in, didn't you?
So, yeah. And what would that be, Larry? I mean, he was really like, whoa, what would that be? I said, well, we'll shoot it in sections, like his close-up, then his close-up, then my close-up. And I was figuring I would memorize it in between the camera settings. But of course, no, you shoot all you, and then all you, and then all me, and they put it together there in the end.
Right.
It's completely slipped my mind. Of course I knew that, but I was fired, so I didn't have to think about it. So I said, and he said, no, what we're going to do is it's going to be talk and walk, one shot. You get down there, walk to the camera. You say it all at once. We put you in the car. You go home. 15 minutes, you're out of here. How about that? And I go, okay. And he goes, okay, get down there about 100 feet. I get down there, because it's a junkyard, dirt road. He says, okay, just walk and talk, Larry. When you get to the last line, you'll be about that far from the camera. Okay? I go, yeah, fine. That's cool. And he goes, okay, you ready, Larry? Yeah. And I go, okay. And I said to myself, A, I'm fired. B is, don't stop talking and don't stutter or go, okay, you got that, Larry? And I said, yes. And he goes, okay, and action. So I started to walk and talk and not stutter or say, and just kept on talking about keeping the guy out of there. And I'm talking and I'm walking. And then I said, and I remembered the last line, and I got to the last line about that far from the camera. And I go, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, okay, now I'm going to get fired. And he goes, okay, Larry, that's really great. Let's just do it once more for insurance and we send you home. I memorized this whole thing? I thought I was memorized. And he goes, yeah, get back there and let's do it again. Let's go and get you home. wow, that's so cool. Okay, great. I went back. Now I can improvise it because I still didn't know what I said. And again, it could be different, but he doesn't matter. He said he's got it. We got it in the can, so I can relax now,
Wow.
and I'm not fired. So I thought, but maybe he'll, I don't know. Let's just do this. So I improvised it again. Keep talking, don't stutter, and maybe you'll get away with this. He goes, no, 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 no. And I go to the end, and he says, great. Okay, thank you, Larry. Larry's dismissed. Let's give him a hand. Okay, boom. I put in a car. What the hell? Twice? I remember. I couldn't figure it out. So I had to wait 2 weeks to watch the show. I called the production office. I said, when will this be shown? They said, in 2 weeks. So I waited 2 weeks, told my friends to watch it. I'm going to test them on my scene because I wanted to see what the hell they could do. And here's the thing about movies is magic. Do you guys know the scene that I'm talking about? I mean, it was really seen at broadcast. You don't have to. I mean, it's not.
I can't say that I do.
No, I saw you in Breaking Bad, the
The
series.
scene was that I had to keep the cop out of the Winnebago, and Aaron and Brian were hiding in there. And I just had to use legalese to keep them out of being found and busted. Okay. So what I saw was this. I am in the scene, in the actual scene that was broadcast. Now, the scene is mine. All this is happening while I'm talking. In other words, there was a reason for this long monologue. So I could carry this scene while they figured out, is he coming in? Is he coming in? And he's saying, I got to get in. I got to get in. And I'm saying, no, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. And so what I saw was this. First of all, they said, what did you see? And they said, you were walking and talking, keeping the cop out of the Winnebago. No, that's not what you saw. No, yes, you did it. You know, you were walking and talking and saying you can't go in. And no, that's not what you saw. Oh, well, what did we see? Okay, I was in the scene for 9 seconds. What they did was, and he knew it, and I asked around, I said, who wrote that for Vince? And the script girl said, the director wrote it. So the director knew I was full of crap on the third line I said. He wrote it.
Well,
he just let me go.
Just went with it anyway.
I don't know what the hell is going on, but he's saying things that keep the cop out of there. So let's see what happens. I'll get him to do it again. And what they did was they edited it together in a voiceover. And here's the magic. If you hear a voiceover, you see the character. I was only in it 3 times, and it takes 2.5 seconds to read one line, to say a line. So I said 3 lines where they cut to me to hammer home the visual. 3 times, 2.5 to 3 seconds. Bump, bump, bump. And if you watch the scene again, there's no need to. You hear me, I say the first line is real. And then it's a voiceover, and they're talking, and in the it's cut, 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 Larry 1, cut, 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 Larry 2, cut, cut. So I thought, wow, man, it worked out fine. The only people who knew were Vince Gilligan and that director. And so when I did El Camino, Vince was very on his toes about what I had to say. And when I had to say it, and he goes, Larry, get your lines down.
Did he give you the 3 days at least?
Did he what do you mean?
Did he give you 3 days for the monologue or no?
Oh, not for El Camino, no, but he gave me short stuff to say.
Okay,
and there was one long walk around to the car. That's when he said, hey, get your lines down. Yeah, but that's the only time where, and then I thought, yeah, but it's time to go. I don't like the feeling it makes me. Go.
I do want to throw this in there. Somebody said, did you ever audition for SNL?
No, I should have, but screw them. If they don't recognize that they lost out.
You've definitely worked with a lot of celebrities that have been on there, though.
Oh, pretty much all of them. I mean, in the book, it's like a litany of just famous, funny people. Actually, famous, funny people. But the ones I leaned on were like John Huston and Woody Allen and Larry David.
Yeah, he said the next question was, you ever thought about working with Larry David?
Well, I did work with him. I did Seinfeld, and he was on the set. He was writing it. He was a coach. He wasn't the director, but he would say, "Hey, come over here." You know, he would give you hints. He's really good. He knows what's funny, man. He would call over his regulars, and even me once. But he would call up during rehearsal. He'd say, "Hey, come here," and he'd whisper something to you. He'd call you aside, and he whisper. And then you'd go back in. They would go back in. Jerry would go back in, and they'd be funnier. Now they wouldn't do anything kind of different. Maybe they do a different line reading or something would be. But he spoke to him. He said something to him, and they'd go in and do it again, and it'd be funnier every time. So I kept on thinking for the week of rehearsal, hey, when is he going to pull me over? And then he did. He one day said, "Okay, I want to talk to Larry." Okay, I made the cut. And he goes, "But it's never what you think. Never." Well, that's why they're who they are. They're not what you think. He goes, "I know what you're trying to do." And the word "trying" just jumped out at me. By then I was a professional. What do you mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So I said, "Oh, really?" So I just backed. I have no fear on the set anyway. So I go, "Oh, really? And what am I trying to do?" And he says, "You're trying to do nothing," which was exactly what I was trying to do. Exactly.
Want a show about nothing, right?
What? Oh, yeah. I mean, I just broke. And I go, right, I am. I mean, I was just so amazed that because I thought, to go under, Buster Keaton, stone face. That's why I had in mind, Buster Keaton. So he was saying, "You're trying to do nothing." That was right on. So I go, "Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do." And he just goes, "Well, you're doing something." And he walked away. And I thought, that's the greatest piece of direction I ever did. "Well, you're doing something." Boom. He didn't tell me what to do. Nothing. He didn't give me a direction, but he did give me a direction. I mean, that was just so steely, so right on. He said,
I understand that you were his first choice to play Kramer, right? Did you try out for that role?
Yeah, I tried out for Kramer, but Kramer got it. I mean, Michael Richards got it because we were friends long before that. I mean, we knew each other, Michael. So when Michael got it, I was like ecstatic. First of all, Michael goes over and I go under. I mean, he's
he goes over for sure.
Most definitely
coming through the door and stuff. So when he got it, and then I watched the show to see who got it. I didn't know I was reading against Mike, but he got it. And when I watched it and saw him, I said, "No, that's who it is." I've turned down roles and said, "You should give it to him." I have.
Yeah.
I have.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, you can see it. I mean, this guy. He said it was I had to shoot somebody. It was a role where I had to shoot somebody, maybe a hitman, maybe a soldier. I don't remember. It had to do with a gun and shooting somebody. And at the time, I was a young kid still, and I didn't want to do it. I thought I don't know. I mean, it's just a small role, so I'm not turning down anything major. And my agent said, "You have to have a no, Larry. You got to turn down something." And you were talking about all these roles that I did. That's why. It wasn't that I had this drive. I just didn't turn down anything. If he'd say, "Hey, I got an audition," I go, "All right, let's go." Boom. I just had a lot of energy. I just went on whatever he said. So,
right.
In the what was I talking about? Doing auditioning, yeah. So he would just send me out to things, and I'd get the sides a couple of days before, study on it. But it was just auditioning. So.
Well, that was going to be a bit of a follow-up of mine because, like I said, it looks like you've been hustling all your life, and I wonder what you attributed that hustling to. Was it that you had an aggressive agent, or was it your aggression, or was it a combination of both? You said you never turned down
films, and I needed money.
Yeah,
and I didn't. I'm a bad pitch guy. You know, I can't explain my films. I mean, once they made them, they all won prizes. I got an Academy Award nomination. I wrote all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But to go in front of somebody, a film, and to give them a synopsis, I mean, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I mean, I can tell you a log line, maybe. You know, say, hey, I got a story about a guy who does this, he can fly. Well, that's pretty short. I'd like, yeah, sounds good to me. A guy, flap his arms? Yeah. I got to, well, send me the script. I'll read that. I'll start it.
You always hear those stereotypical stories of the person who wants to be a filmmaker and they trap that director in like an elevator and they had just till he gets to the next floor to do his pitch.
The elevator pitch.
There you go, the elevator pitch. So
but so it's another way. Yeah, you have to have an elevator pitch. That's the one line. Okay. What's your story about? Well, it's about it's my floor. Sorry.
Oh shit! There you go. There went your career.
Damn it! That was John Huston too. Yeah. So, and no. So was I a hustler? No? It was just I needed the money and I couldn't do pitches, so I would have to figure out a way to get money that didn't have me talking to somebody, because I would just flub it up. So I figured out, okay, I'll audition for movies and save that money. So I lived like an artist, you know, in ateliers. But I got thousands of dollars to make films.
Yeah.
I mean, I earned it. That was what I was paid to do these movies. And that was my motivation. That was my intent. I got to get these jobs because I got Harry Matthias, who is a camera operator, not a cinematographer, but a camera operator. And a camera operator cinematographers union is the greatest, but to get in is very hard, obviously. So Harry Matthias was a camera operator, and he wanted to get into the cinematographers union. And his wife said to me, Larry, why don't you write a movie and let my camera operator husband, Harry, be the cinematographer, because he can get that will get him into the union. So that's what I did. And we got an Academy Award nomination thanks to Harry Matthias and me and his wife. All three of us kind of made something. And that's what I told Harry. I said, okay, when he saw the script, it was 20 minutes. He said he only wanted 10 minutes. So I had to earn the money. It finally cost $20,000 to make this little 10-minute movie back in the 70s. So I had to earn the money and just, sock it away. First I earned $5,000 and we shot it for 3 days. Then we had to shut down while I made some more money, auditioning and getting jobs, so we could go into post. And then we had to shut it down. And then we had to do something to get it into the Academy, to make it into so they could show it. So we had to shut it down 2 or 3 times while I earned money. But that's what kept me going and doing all those films. Right. Little did I know that it's paying the rent on this place from all those things.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing you probably get checks in the mail for stuff that you did, 50, 60,
I used to get
50
checks
years ago.
in the mail. This is not for 2 cents from Disney. I did stuff for Disney where I used to frame them, and Disney stopped doing it because everybody would save their checks. It was getting into like hundreds of thousands of dollars of 2-cent checks that nobody was cashing, and then
messing up the bank.
Yeah, it was messing up their bottom line.
I understand there's an establishment on the West Coast called Residuals, and they have people's residual checks that wallpaper the bar. Are you familiar with that place?
No, but it's a great idea, but it would have to be very small for me to
I think it might be. Yeah, it's like the ceiling, it's everywhere, but apparently that's the theme of it.
the checks were, regular Disney checks, but on the line where it says pay to, there's a little cartoon of Mickey Mouse going, and then there was, that's why everybody saved it. If they would just take that little mouse off, nobody would 2 cents.
Right.
They would rip it up. I mean, who's going to send it, cash it to a bank for 2 cents?
Costs more to process it than it's worth.
Exactly. I've had people tell me that, Larry, it cost me more, to whatever than to whatever.
I am curious, and I told Bobby I was going to ask this question, but what's the best food spread that you've had on a show, like when you're at a shoot?
Wait a minute. What? Say that again. What?
Well, some movies they have like the food spreads for the actors.
Oh,
and stuff.
Food. Oh, you said food. I didn't hear the word.
Yeah, food spread.
What's the food spread?
Yeah, any of them that
No
stood
sweat.
out?
Friends. No sweat.
Really?
Groaning board. Now, I was on it the first 3 years. In other words, I was on it once before it went on.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't even, we didn't know if it would sell. They only had shown, they were going to shoot 6 before it ever went on the air. Mm-hmm. And they were going to release 3 to see how they did. Mm-hmm. If it went well, they'd put the other 3 on and go into production. I was in the second one that they ever shot. So they had to shoot a couple of more. So everybody was nobody. There was nobody. I mean, all the stars, they were all good. I mean, I watched them. Hey, it's pretty good, Well, they cast me, so I guess. So there was no groaning board, no food, no nothing. You just walked in, did your part, and went home, and wondered, well, I'll never see that again. And then they called me back. So I watched the show, and they put 3 on, and I said, oh, not bad. Okay, not good, not bad. And that was the first year. Then they were, but I did that one show that I shot before they were on the air. That was the first year. Then the second year they had Mr. Heckles come back. So now there was nice food. They were, but they weren't a hit yet. But they were, still trying. Still, you got picked. And then during that show, whatever that show was in the second year, who was it? One of the guys, Charles Chasen, somebody, I don't know. The guy from Canada who was a skater.
I can't think of his name.
He came in saying we got picked up. I'm not sure where they came. And everybody celebrated. He came in with the newspaper. Hey, we got picked up. Okay, and then the third year was when the groaning board. They were big stars. So I saw it from when they were nobody to they were getting there to when they were just out of sight. So I did 5 shows. So, yeah, but they just, you could tell that they were getting successful because their clothing changed. Their rehearsal clothing got a lot better.
That makes sense. That makes sense, yeah.
It's, form-fitting shit.
Camera ready for a dress rehearsal, right?
And then they were talking about paving driveways and closing escrow. It was really weird because I saw the whole thing, man. I got the shot, from 1 through 3.
That's awesome.
It was good. Any good stories from Escape from Alcatraz? What was it like to film in the prison? It was awesome, man. It was great. Being on the outfit, I was on there for 3 months. It was great. I'm not an actor.
What?
A guy doing shit, being places where you can do stuff. It was great. I was my first major big motion picture, and I was just full of awe and just come every day for 3 months, man. Except, the day off, or, maybe I missed 1 or 2 other days. But every day I'd come in costume. Blue shirt, jeans, white socks, black shoes.
So did they ferry you back and forth every day?
What?
Did they ferry you back and forth every day? You didn't literally
Every
stay on the
day,
island, right?
7:30, you had to get up. That's how much I was into it. The
Wow.
joy of being on Alcatraz, working with Don Siegel and Clint Eastwood. Yeah, and the other guy, the warden. Yeah, it was just and then I would go exploring because I wasn't in every shot or every day. I wasn't even shooting every day.
Oh,
So sometimes I'd just go in and I became friends with, they adopted me with Clint and Don Siegel. Don Siegel.
That would be great.
So it was great. You know, I was just, well, I was like, you know, they sensed the joy and fear I had of being with these icons and then just bouncing around like, oh man, wait till I tell my parents.
So Alcatraz was still a functioning prison when you filmed there, right?
No.
It wasn't by then? No?
Here's what nobody talks about. Because of the smokies. The people who took us on tours, who took you on tours, not us. But the tours were still continuing. That was because it's a national monument. So Paramount or whoever it was, one of us, I don't know, Clint Eastwood's Mariposa Productions, they had to sign a release saying that you can't stop this is a national monument. You can't stop the guided tours.
Wow.
But, you know, just shoot where there's no guided tours, or maybe if the guards like you, they'll go around you. Okay, so I got in a lot of scenes just because I was there. A lot of times Don Siegel would go, Larry, get in this scene. So why? I don't know. Just get in there. It doesn't matter. Well, I don't just do something. Like in the shop where they cut off the hand. And then they do quick cuts of guys' reactions. Oh, whoa. You know, and I
yeah.
Well, I wasn't in that scene. I wasn't written in that scene. And every scene where I was like just a foil for Clint Eastwood's character, that he had somebody that I'm like, you know, Sancho Panza, you know, kind of that kind. So he would put me whenever Clint was alone somewhere. He'd say, Larry, get in there, sit next to him. And cool, you know, like out in the courtyard, you know, the work yard. I'm sitting next to him. It's a famous picture. I'm sitting next to Clint Eastwood, my character. I wasn't in that scene. So yeah, I sit next to him. You know, okay, fine, cool. So all that, getting that kind of feedback, that kind of, you know, pats on the head. Hey, Larry, good boy. And then, and they would always be putting me on stuff. Clint and the director. You know. What was one of the things? You know, at the end when they go and on Charlie Butts is Left Behind, I have to cry in that scene because I was left behind. So he comes up to me. I was playing cards with the crew because I wasn't in anything, but I was there, man, and I knew where the director was. You know, I'm playing cards, and they stopped playing and looked up behind me. I turned around. It's the director, Don Siegel, and he goes, "What are you doing, Larry?" He was really serious, man. Dead serious. What are you doing, man? Oh, I'm just playing cards. I'm not in anything. I'm up. My scene isn't up for 2 hours. He said, it's the crying scene. I said, I didn't know that. That's when they left. I have to cry in that scene? Yeah, I need you to cry in that scene. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, cool. And he goes, you're going to cry? I mean, so I was finished with the conversation. I had a good hand. You know, so he goes, and he packed, no, I need you to cry. Can you cry? I don't know. Well, what do you mean you don't know? Well, I don't know. I never tried it before. I'm not. He goes, I need you to cry in that scene, Larry. Look, if you can't cry in that scene, I'd stop playing cards and get in your dressing room and slap yourself silly until you can cry. I need somebody to cry in that scene, and you're the guy. Okay, and then he split. And I'm sitting there with my cards, and the crew and everybody is looking at me like, what are you going to do? I said, well, I guess I'm out. I got to go work on this, So I put my cards and I go and I did. I can't cry. Yeah, that's hopeless. That's being an actor. That's an actor. If you can cry, you're an actor. So I, for no reason at all, except some guy tells you, I need you to cry in 2 hours. Is this a movie or are we just standing on the street? It's the same thing to me. So I couldn't cry. So I figured out, again, I can figure out. So when I found the director, I figured out how to get out of it. I couldn't cry because I was afraid I would really get fired. And I was having too much fun. So I found the director. He's busy setting up another shot. I found Don. I said, Don, can I talk to you for a moment? And I was very serious. And he was very serious. And he said, oh, excuse me, I got to talk to my actor. So we went off on the side and he goes, well, what's the matter? I said, look, my character wouldn't cry in this scene. Goes, what? I go, yeah, see, I did a backstory on the character. I mean, this months ago. And in this scene, the character was serious. But I was I was afraid of being fired, so I didn't break. I was into this story. And he's listening to me very intently. He's going, uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. So, and then he goes, he goes, okay, wait a minute. Carol, would you come over here? Now, Carol is his girl Friday. She walks around with a notepad and he says, I want that, blah, blah, blah. And she writes down stuff and she's just like his girl Friday. She says, come here, Carol. She was talking to somebody. Come over here. Okay, so she comes over here. Yeah. She says, Larry, I want you to tell Carol what you just told me. And she doesn't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. You want me to just tell her. My character wouldn't. I gotta cry in this next scene here that everybody's left. That we have Charlie Butts is left alone, so he wants me to cry, and I don't. I have a backstory that says that my character wouldn't cry in this scene. So, and she looks at Don and me like she still doesn't know what's going on, and I still don't know what's going on. And she says, "Yeah." So to him, to Don, and he goes, "Okay, Carol, tell me one thing. What the fuck is he talking about? I got a movie here. I got a fucking movie here, and I got all men all over. You see, this is the whole movie, Larry. This is the whole movie here. And you see right about here where we're shooting today, Larry, I need all this testosterone. Do you know what all these guys want to do in this place? All they want to do is fight or get the fuck out. That's all they want to do. Okay? And I need another emotion besides testosterone. Okay? So she's going to come in and she's going to tell you that your mother died. Okay? And I need you to cry. Okay. You got that? Now, I got other things to do. So you got like 10 more minutes. He walks away. And she looks at me and she shrugs. She goes, and she follows him off. And I go, oh my God. And he was really lacing into me. There was nothing I can do, so I gave up. Now I thought I was going to be fired. I wasn't fooling around. I thought, man, I'm screwing up here. So an AD comes over and says, come on, you're in. So I'm up. So he sits me down, and he gets this camera, this Panavision camera that looked huge, and he gets it about, that far away from my face. The lens is this far away from my face. And he says, this is a close-up. This is a choker, Larry. This is very serious. Okay. So, the guys have left. They left you behind. You can't get out. I need you to cry, okay? You ready to cry? And now everybody's around me here because they've heard about this. He's complaining. He complained. So they're all around me. So he says, you ready to cry? And I go, yeah. He's okay, and action, camera, Larry. And I go, there's nothing. I try for he lets me go for about 10 seconds. It's not. And he goes, cut! Okay, Roger, bring it in. This guy Roger, who's a crewman, one of his crew, comes in with the coveralls and everything. And these little grandma perfume bottles from 1890s? They're cut glass and they got little bulbs which you squeeze.
Sure.
Well, this guy, Roger, this crew guy, comes in with this little grandma perfume bottle. And he sticks it in between the thing in here. And he goes, and Don says, camera, action, Larry, and this mist just like floats
still in the air.
And then tears start coming down out of my eyes. It's Larry, cry. And I'm going, ooh, and crying, and he goes, cut. Larry, that was great. Everybody, that was great. You can see me crying. They say, thank you, Roger. Okay, boom, and it goes away. And I said, what the? And then he's laughing. Don is laughing. Everybody's laughing. So I go, what was that stuff? What happened? What just happened? And he said, that was wintergreen, Larry. That bottle of wintergreen has given more actresses Academy Awards than you know.
That's great. It burned your eyes out to get you to cry. One way or the other, you were going to cry.
It's used at the end of so many movies. But that's what was going on. And then, when I wasn't being put on, I would go explore Alcatraz down into the cellar where the Indians were. So paintings on the wall of teepees and police cars. That's really funny. Just, horses, wigwams, and cop cars down underneath. I mean, I was standing on the island. I was standing on gray dirt. And pylons, and if Alcatraz caved in, they would never find me. Squashed flat. Yeah, so it was great to answer that question. I think it was asked by a young lady. I don't know.
No.
Okay, thank you.
I am curious. So you've worked with a lot of icons, a lot of big names. Are there any that? Because I know some celebrities kind of let that fame get to them. Have you worked with anybody?
I worked on what? What did you?
You've worked with a lot of like iconic celebrities and actors. Are there any that definitely let the fame get to them and like you just didn't like you knew it was going to be a rough set trying to work with them?
Adam Sandler.
No joke.
No sweat.
Billy, is that the Billy Madison movie?
Yeah, he's just rude. Man. He's OCD. I mean, he knows what he wants, and there's nobody else who could figure out what he wants. But he knows his audience, and he knows what his audience wants. And he knows his audience. Man.
This is the guy who asked that question, by the way.
It's our friend Lost. What's up, Lost?
Well, so I saw something. I don't know, ZZ Top, bearded lady.
Oh yeah,
yeah. If you look at his picture.
Yeah, it's you said. Yeah.
He was the one that asked the question about Alcatraz.
Alcatraz.
Oh.
So
young lady.
He's making the young lady joke.
Oh, I get it. See, there you go. I'm not. Many comedians don't have a sense of humor. Did you know that? Like Charlie Chaplin, probably the funniest guy ever, that didn't have a sense of humor about himself. I mean, comedians have senses of humor about but don't ever poke fun at like Woody Allen. No sense of humor at all. I mean,
well, it seems like from what I know from some comedians that I've followed throughout my life, some comedians have been funny out of a need to just to be happy, just so they're not sad, basically, Oh
no, yeah, they can make other people laugh, and that makes them happy.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about it. You make fun of them or get a laugh off of if they like fuck
at
up.
their expense.
Yeah,
at their expense.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't care. I mean, many people don't care. Oh, ha, ha. But no, I get involved with not getting the audition. I'll watch the show just to see who got the job that I auditioned for. And, and always the same reaction. They took him? What the fuck? Is that
Were there any roles that you tried out for when you saw the next guy get it and it ended up being like a longer role and not one of these shorter roles that you wish you would have gotten?
Well, well, Mr. Heckles, I guess I got it. But
Mm-hmm.
when they killed me, then I go, what the, why did you kill me? Well, yeah, it was Chandler. Chandler is the guy who I was trying to think of.
Okay, yeah.
Chandler.
Yep.
I saw Chandler when I first came in, before it was ever on the air. I saw Chandler rehearsing a scene. I just sat in the bleachers and waited for my turn. He was already hired. And I watched him and I thought, I don't know who that guy is, but boy, he's funny. He's great.
Mhm.
Chandler, sorry, Chandler Bing. Stormy. Thank you, Stormy. Yeah, I thought, I thought if everybody's like him, that's pretty good. But everybody was. I mean, when I finally worked on Friends, I didn't get along with anybody. I don't get along with people unless they're interviewing me. But I don't. I'm not a schmoozer. I don't. I just kind of keep to myself. So, but I was watching them, the other cast members, and they were all good at what character they did. Now, I never watched the show. I mean, it wasn't my funny. I watch Seinfeld is my funny, but Friends I didn't. But they were good, and Chandler was really great. I mean, just as a guy who knows comedy, Bob Buttons. Bob Buttons. Bob Buttons is missing. Bob Buttons, that's my cat. Yeah, I do. What do you call it? Cameos. Everybody is just friends. I don't understand it. 99.9% of the people who call Cameo to wish people a happy birthday are friends.
Right.
Nobody else. I have other people come up to me on the street, pardon me, from other roles that I've done, but never on Cameo. Only Mr. Heckle.
So I didn't know that you did Cameo messages. So you make personalized messages on Cameo?
Just just the only one kind, where you say, hey, you wish somebody a happy birthday, or where you talk into your phone.
Yeah.
They have various ways of, you can message them, you can email them, you can. I just do the visual.
Well, this might go full circle, and I'll give us back to you, JG, because we were talking before the show. We were having such great conversation. I wish the cameras were rolling, but you talk about Cameo and the new technology, and you had a question for him about technology in the era that he grew up in, because he's seen everything.
Right.
Oh well, yeah. You mean when I was talking about when I grew up, there wasn't digital. That was
right.
Yeah. There wasn't digital. There was radio and checkers and comic books, and books and sticks. Oh, sticks back in my day were like digital today. I'm talking about sticks that you pick up on the street.
Talking about pickup sticks? Or just a stick?
I'm talking about sticks.
Just a good old stick, huh? Walk around, use it as a cane, as a switch, or whatever, huh?
As a knife.
Yeah.
To get ants out of a hole. Mm-hmm. And magnifying glasses were big, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't see many. I'm waiting for a digital magnifying glass. That's going to be the day. Well, I guess.
What would be... What would you say has been some of the biggest help you've had through social media? Like, would you say
never had any help off of social media?
Because
it just allows me to rant for about an hour, or a half hour, or 10 minutes, True. And then I just don't want to even hear the blowback. I mean, the blowback is just forget it. I mean, social media basically is blowback.
Yes.
It's not anything else. You send out one message and you get blowback. That's where they make their money back. Friends or friends, I guess. Facebook. Yeah, they make money from the blowback, not from the original instigator.
Right.
Yeah, you have to be on. I don't get it. But even then, I mean, when Dumont came on with television. Black and white, it's so different. It's so different. Airplane travel. I mean, I'm like talking like my grandfather talked to me when I was sitting on his knee. I'm like, I'm almost obsolete, pretty much. Pretty much, as far as Hollywood goes, I pretty much am obsolete. If anybody dared really know how old I am, they just would throw dirt on me.
I do remember the last time I had you on. I said it was hard to find your actual birth date, and you said it's because you always told the wrong birth date to people.
Yeah, there's a few people. There's a few places that know. I'd like Social Security, taxes. They know my real birthday. I mean, you can't fuck around with the law.
No. Right.
Well, I guess you can, but you have to be president first, and then then you can. But let me see. Yeah, I guess that's about it.
Is that out of the effort not to divulge too much personal information about yourself? You didn't want to tell people your age, or do you want to live by how you live and not by an age?
Oh yeah, well that's just like women's lib and men's lib and all that. I mean, it's just too far, too much. It's just that when I first started to figure out, I don't want to give out my age. How does he make money now working? Residuals and cameos and residuals and friends. I dropped out for a while. I'm going to go back. So I'm not retired. I'm not retired. But I get enough residuals and what do you call it? Social Security. I'm over 65.
Right.
So
really, you're over 65? No.
No, I mean, like, basically, I have so many ages within each of my parts of my brain. I'm like 17. I'm 25. I'm 45. In my 80s. I'm in my 70s. I mean, I guess like I have one every 10 years. I have an age every 10 years. Sometimes, some of them just be naive and stupid, like I'm 15. And then sometimes I'll be very wise. Yeah. People ask me questions and I'm wondering, okay, I said something wise about an hour ago and they're still thinking I'm wise.
And we've been going for an hour now, and I am curious. So the title, That Guy, for the book. Is that a lot of the reaction you get out of most people is just, hey,
that is the reaction. It's, hey, are you that guy? Just the other day I was standing on the street. Oh my God, there's that guy. Oh, you're the guy who is in, then the other and then the other thing is they come up with obscure things that they've seen that I didn't even remember that I did. Like Hustle. There was a show called Hustle, wasn't there? Or was there? I don't know. But somewhere I saw it that I was in it. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't. I don't know. Or I did a couple of. Oh man, I did 4 porny movies in San Francisco. Now I wasn't a pornographic actor. I didn't do anything pornographic. The movie was a porno movie, but they used to come to the committee, which was like Second City, to get a funny, a turn, oh, let's just put a funny thing in the middle of the movie.
Okay.
Nobody goes to a porny movie to laugh. Come on.
Have you been pointed out or identified from those?
Yes, they come. Oh, I saw. Were you in China Lady?
No, that wasn't me.
No, I said, yeah, that was me. Like I wasn't doing anything. I was fully clothed the whole time. I was just being funny.
Right.
I watched the movie, when they had a cast and crew screening. It was the last time I saw it.
Yeah.
But all through my career, I did it, when I was like, in my 22 or something. I don't know. When I needed money. And then I was in the committee and I was improvising. I said, oh yeah, I'll do funny. I won't, get naked, but yeah, I'll do funny.
Were you like a stand-in? Were you like a stunt penis or something like that?
No. I was. I'll tell you what I was. It wasn't that funny. Actually, now to me, it was much funnier than that. But back then, it was just supposed to be funny. Okay, what it was here's the layout. It wasn't China Lady. It was another. It was a wife swapping porno based story about wife swapping. So to do it really cheaply, because back in the day, now it makes millions of dollars. Well, no, it doesn't. Now you can just go on. You make your own with an iPhone.
Yeah.
So what happened was, the story was, there was a wife swapping club, which there was in the Valley in San Francisco. There was a wife swapping club. This is the story now. This is the point of
Yeah.
Wife club, and the newspaper, the local newspaper, which was the Inquirer, and then there was the Chronicle in San Francisco. So it was an Inquirer. I was from the Inquirer. I was a reporter. That was my character. Reporter from the Inquirer. And I wanted to do an expose story about the pornographic movies that were made out in the Valley. They do it here now in LA in the Valley, and now it's kind of stopped. But back then, in San Francisco, they were doing pornographic movies. That was Porno USA, San Francisco. And so they wanted to get everybody in one room. So everybody is fucking in one room, swapping in one room. And I come in. I said, well, what am I going to wear? Just a jacket, sports jacket, a shirt, slacks and shoes. That's what you know. And you come in with a pad and a pencil. And what you're doing and what the scene is, while everybody's fucking and swapping in the living room and the kitchen, and I saw the home, it was just a regular somebody's ranch home, one story. And there's a living room, and the kitchen was off the living room, so it was open. It wasn't a wall; it was just an open area, like an L shape, and that was the kitchen. So everybody's fucking in the kitchen in the living room, and you come in, and what you're going to do is you're going to be interviewing the people as to what got them into the club, what turned them on to it, and who told them about it, to get background. So that's what you're doing for your story, okay? So now I said, well, who am I interviewing? Well, you're interviewing the couples while they're fucking. Oh,
excuse me.
Okay.
A couple
So
questions
I
for you.
come in and everybody is fucking already. Yeah, they'll be on the floor on the couch. In the kitchen, there'll be a couple on the table, some by the stove. No, what a great guy, lucky guy. Yeah. You hope, you wish, you think, fantasize. Movie. No, it's not like that at all. Making a porny movie is not pornographic. Grow up. Okay. If you want to, forget it. Don't be in a pornographic movie. Buy it. Okay. So I walk in, and I see all the cars parked outside. It was just on a bunch of ranch homes, one-story homes on a block. I walk in, and the scene already had started because somebody said, "Hey, he's parking a car." Roll the camera. So I came in, and everybody's fucking, on the couch and everything. And I'm thinking, well, hi, now is this your wife? No, my wife is over there. Oh, okay, cool. So this is, my him over there. Okay, and so how did you get into it? And I'm, talking, and it's blowing my mind. And I'm thinking, while I'm doing this, I'm thinking, I hope they get this. I never have seen it. I've never seen that movie ever.
Yeah.
I wish I could have, but I don't know, just disappeared. So I'm thinking as I'm talking to this couple fucking here, I'm saying, I'm thinking, I want this to be a video being played on my tombstone when I die. I want this scene playing in the middle of my tombstone. So your boyfriend is over there, and that's your wife over there. Oh, hi. No, I'm just talking to him. I'll be next. You're next. Okay. So, and the cameras, are you getting this? You're getting this, getting it. Okay, get a shot of this over there. Getting it. No, get a close up. Get a close up over there. So that was it. And I did that 4 times. Different plots,
yeah.
But the same kind of just be funny, but you're not doing the deed
Yeah.
with anybody, So, and every once in a while, somebody would come up to me and go, "Oh, I saw, China Lady or whatever that was." Oh, it says Svengali. Svengali was one. I played Svengali. He hypnotized women to go get fucked by another guy. By another guy. So that was my role. Fully clothed, cape, black mustache, black hat, cape.
You don't get that story and credit on IMDb.
Right.
That's only something you're gonna get here.
And I would Svengali.
That's hilarious.
All women were under his control. Yeah, but he gets to do the deed. I just send them to him. I don't know. I think the trope was that he was paying me off. That was the storyline.
Okay. So, I mean,
and then I wrote
out of all of the films and the things that you've done, what would you say if you had the opportunity to do it again? Who would be like your set of actors that you'd love to work with in a film together?
Just friends, man. I can't take that other shit.
Really? Like you keep coming back to Friends? It was that good, huh?
No, not friends. My friends.
Just your group of friends.
Just your
Yeah.
group of friends.
Group of friends. That's. I mean, you have to call agents. They want to read the script. They want to know when can they be available. I mean, it's like me. I went through that. No, I can't do it. I got to do this. I got to do that. Oh, I need more money. It's agents and stuff. I just want to call friends and say, hey, let's do this movie. I mean, I got friends like all over the United States through the years who I can do that with if I had the money. The thing is the money. Not you can get a camera, you can get editing, you can get post, you can get you just need the money. That's what I could get. I mean, that's what you need a silver tongue for. You need to tell, because I don't know finance, and you have to tell the investor how he gets his money back. You have to know okay, you do this and then that when we do this and then I can't do that.
Gotcha.
See, that's where dyslexia becomes a positive. I mean, no, but see, I can't learn that. I don't have enough time. I mean, I need months to get the pitch down of how the investor would get the money and where to go. And I just deal in blocks of, $5,000, $10, $200, things that can add up readily.
Yeah.
Zero.
That sounds like a crowdfunding scenario. Now in these days of technology, they have crowdfunding where people will just literally pitch into their favorite producers and directors.
Well, now it's I've thought about that. I mean, that's my mind. So, but I've been writing the book for, a year now. So, and then trying to sell it for another year, getting an agent to sell it. So that's 2 years where I couldn't even think about that. But yeah, that's a great idea. And I think I could do it now. But then I have to have the project that I want to do. Blah, blah, blah. It's a whole thing.
Before the show, we did talk about, kind of transitioning towards the end about talking more about, kind of the state of the world now since COVID and where we're at now. And I am curious to kind of get your thoughts on where the world is right now.
It's fucked.
It's
I study that a lot, and I'm not too and I hate to say that because it behooves people to just not know. They really, I mean, they function better. So for me, I suddenly woke up. I was reading some of my rants that I was writing a story about a homeless guy who stood on street corners and try to raise money by ranting about this and that and the other thing. Some of it was crazy, some of it was right on. But the only answer, medium Daniel. So I was ranting about that. So I was reading them, thinking I would publish them or something like that. And they're pretty angry, but they're also intelligent. The rants were intelligent. In other words, if I said, we're running out of oxygen. That's the truth. Because I watch a lot. I'm into science and anthropology and the sciences of where we came from and where we're going. and we're not on a path of species preservation and sustenance. We're not on a path of sustaining our species. We're on a what do you call it? A flex point. Every once in a while, every species goes through it, where they have to survive or become extinct, because the earth is changing, or their environment is changing, or their food source has died off, or the water source has been dried up. But they have to make a decision as to move and survive or stay here and die out. And a lot of animals don't have enough sense to make that decision. And some do. And we don't.
And that's survival of the fittest, right?
Well, no, we're the fittest, but we're not going to survive. I don't care how fit we are.
Well, do you think? I mean, I think a lot of this stuff is just cyclical from being on the planet Earth, And I wonder how much control we have over any of it. I think more or less we are just kind of like spectators and kind of unwilling participants in it. We just happen to be here in this particular part of Earth's cycle. But these things are probably going to carry out, going from ice age to ice age and so on, and regardless of who's on the planet.
Well, I have a different way of looking at it, but that's just as good as any. I mean, mine is that our curiosity is far outgrowing our intelligence. We're like babies with samurai swords. The ability, it's like a baby in a kitchen, baby near a hot stove. We're young. We're a young species. We're probably the youngest species on this planet. You want to know something that's really shook me or cleared something up? Neanderthal man, Cro-Magnon man. We think of them as dumb, living in caves, but scientists, after doing a lot of studying about their bones and their DNA and their hunting ability and their tools, have come to the conclusion that Neanderthals were much stronger and faster than us, and they knew more about their environment than we do, and so we're not as fast. Oh, okay, so that's what they found out about Neanderthals. There are no Neanderthals today.
Right.
Neanderthals are faster and stronger than us and understood their environment. There are no Neanderthals today. So therefore, Neanderthals are extinct. We have been, Homo sapiens have been here for 100,000 years. Neanderthals were around our planet for 300,000 years. So we haven't even been around long enough, longer than Neanderthals. And we think we're hot shit.
And I do think some of that survival, some of that come on their survival because they had to do those things to eat and hunt and gather and survive. And I think what you're saying is we're being or my take on it is we're being softened up or taken away from that by having these readily available food grocery stores. We don't have to hunt and gather anymore. We can just sit back and be fat and happy, and we don't have that drive and desire. So I can totally understand from a that point of view where you're coming from, where they are probably more advanced at this point than we are.
Yeah, and also, I mean, look, I think any animal, even microbes, well, maybe not. Bugs. Let's get it down, bugs. You don't sleep and live where you shit. This is our home. This is the planet. And we're shitting all over it. I mean, we're running out of oxygen. We're running out of potable water. We're running out of arable land. Potable, arable. We don't talk about that. I mean, we're cutting down trees like there's no tomorrow. As my mom would say. I mean, come on, man.
And we're not meant to sit here and do this for hours either. I mean, this is not.
No, man. Sitting, glasses and chairs. We should get rid of glasses and chairs. eyeglasses. We've lost sight of the horizon. We don't see horizons anymore. Neanderthal man, that's all they saw, was trees or horizons. In other words, their eyes to live and function and survive had to see the horizon or see the tree in front of them. We need glasses to see the horizon or the trees or both or television. And then the silliness of, I mean, social media, there's an intelligence there, but it's buried in all this bullshit. Like, me, like if you take this program, because I got to put me in the mix.
Yeah.
You take this program and you kind of, examine it. Probably 90% of everything I've ever, 90% of everything I've said is pretty much useless to anything else. And I'm just bragging if I said 10% that's, useful. I mean, it's just because I hear, I did a little rant on Facebook, and here's what I got back. I said, when the 3 kids and the 3 adults were shot in, Maryland or wherever.
Okay.
Yesterday or the day before yesterday. And everybody was gathering and saying, well, our prayers go out to, parents of the 3 people, parents of the 3 kids. And I just put out on Facebook, nobody that can do anything about this is doing anything about this. And the rest of you take your prayers and shove them where the sun don't shine. Very simple, very short, sweet. I got my rant out. Okay. And then the feedback comes. Feedback. And I got hundreds and hundreds of all kinds of answers to that. But I thought, I'm very sorry that I put that up there. I thought, well, I'll just get off. It's like a kid taking chalk and saying fuck on the blackboard. You can erase it, and it doesn't mean anything. So that's what I was doing. But then I saw, oh my God, somebody's making millions of dollars off of Facebook because look at all the answers I'm getting. I mean, it was a ton of people either, calling me out for it or congratulating me about it or making some other smart ass comment. So I thought I just wasted everybody's time, including my own. I didn't get off on it at all.
This is a prime example of sort of what trends these days are. People who have a response, especially negative responses, tend to trend on social media platforms. If people have something to say, it becomes a trend.
Yeah.
Even if it's just pointless, if they have something that they could throw in.
See, but here, okay.
Drags it out.
Say this. We all agree, or I don't know, we're on the air, so I don't know what the inner intent is of anybody on the show, including me. But I'm saying that whatever we're talking about, it's just for us 3. In other words, what we're saying is all yeah, and maybe we're getting some feedback from people saying yeah, and cool answer, but it doesn't move the needle.
No,
it doesn't make any difference. See, that's what I'm talking about. We've gotten to the point where nothing makes a difference.
Yeah,
we all get off,
yeah.
but we don't make a difference. And what other animals do in situations like these points, these nodes, is they do something about it. They move to greener pastures. They climb trees. They grow a 3rd eye. They do something. In other words, the DNA takes over.
Yeah.
We're just, inventing swords and giving them to children. I mean, I don't get it. Nothing matches. We're just curious and inventive, but not intelligent. You asked me, I told you, but, now I'm sorry I told you. it probably wasted everybody who's listening. It wasted.
No, that's great. And what I've taken to recently, because I can have that opinion too. I can be like, well, you know what? Nobody wants to hear me blather or hear my 2 cents.
Yeah.
But then part of me is like, well, what if I'm the only one intelligible person out there, and I might connect with that one other person? So I do believe in the kind of grain of sand effect, where you might not move the needle or changes things as fast as you like, but if everybody else is putting their stupid 2 cents out there, I feel less bad about putting my maybe more intelligent 2 cents out there, and maybe positively affecting maybe just one other person.
Okay, I mean, I'm all for it, man. You know,
I'm not saying that it happens, but
throwing up my hands and saying I don't know what to do. Most people have done that. Even the people who are intelligent, who are fighting against my ideas or fighting for my ideas, I see them. Their eyes are beginning to glaze over, man. You know, and I see where the species is heading. And I mean, look, you know, there's hunger. The next 10 or 15 years, you ain't seen nothing yet, baby. Starvation is going to be knocking on our door.
Well, and even, I mean, what's not technical now? What's not related to technology? Like if something was to happen and technology was to wipe out tomorrow, there's gas. There goes gas. You ain't gonna be able to drive your cars. You ain't gonna have a phone. There's not gonna be any source of getting any information out there. And do you know how to react to that? Do people that are watching this right now know how to react to that?
Well, I bet the majority don't.
I know how to react to it. I just I'll write another book. I'll paint another picture. In other words, I'll forget about it. That's what everybody does. They have kids, or they play in the backyard, or they go shopping. In other words, they what do they call? They redirect. They deflect. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. That's what you do. That's what you do about it. You deflect, and that's not a good thing. Wow. See, a lot of animals can't. Well, that's how you become extinct. Animals deflect. They go, "Nah, I'm not gonna move." You know, and then we shut off their corridors. You know, all the caribou from Alaska coming down through Canada into the greener fields for the summer. Well, they move. They think, and now we've cut off that because I don't know why, man. You know, some oil pipeline goes across their land, so they can't. So that, well, there we go. There goes 10,000, 15,000 caribou just dying because they can't get to there.
Hey, but wait, they're bringing back the mammoths.
Yeah, and then they'll bring back the dinosaurs. They're working on that. Bring back the dinosaurs. They're working on that, and they'll do it. They will do it. And then what? Hey, we've got him in a cage. I don't know. If he gets out, we're all fucked. It turns out the dinosaurs were impervious to bullets. We didn't know it because there was no bullets. They didn't know. But no, you can't kill them with bullets. I just see this. To me, it's in the old days. You know, there was you lived in a cave, and they had the fire, and movies were really just shadows on the wall and hand stuff. You know, and they gathered around the wall, and they talked and they told stories, and they wondered about how flat the world was and where the gods were. And outside in the cold, where it was snowing, where it wasn't warm, there's these two guys, two hip, intelligent, maybe foolish, I don't know, guys, laughing, pointing at them, looking and telling how silly they all are and where they're all going to end up. And these two guys are freezing their asses. You know, they're probably going to die in a couple of days. I mean, you know, that's kind of how I see it. I don't know how to, you know, if you were a writer, the assignment would be, okay, write yourself out of this situation. You know, get those two guys to, you know, rise above their situation. You know, I don't see how the species can do it. I know a lot of people are working on it, so that gives me a little hope. I see young people, you know, like say, fuck all this. We were talking about what is their, you know, Generation X, Generation Y. Yeah. What is their intent? Like every year, my generation was a 60s generation. So our intent was to change the world. Well, How'd that work out, guys? No, didn't do much, did it?
Well,
But
I'm curious
we
with somebody from your
were-
viewpoint, because you were of that generation. You really thought you were going to change the world. Do
We
you
thought
feel
we were going to change the world, and we tried, and we did everything we could. And then they got married and started raising kids, and just became what they were fighting against, or they just didn't have enough time to fight anymore. And that's what happens, That's how.
yeah,
That's how,
society or the system didn't allow it?
Yeah. So
Wow.
now I see the same thing. What is this generation about? The way I labeled it is, I was talking to some guys my age. Well, what's going on now? With this generation, is it the generation that we have nothing in common with? The generation that has nothing in common with us. You want to know what about them? But I see little hints of glimmers of. They do see the bullshit. They do understand the bullshit. They do name it too, and they're getting pretty fed up with. Back in the day we had don't trust anybody over 30. Now it's don't trust anybody over 15. I guess. I mean I don't know how to judge it. I do see some hope, but I don't know if it's too late. It might be too late.
The problem is we give kids access to the dumbest shit at a very young age now.
Well, this guy down at DeSantis, what the hell is he doing?
Mhm.
Banning books. Next thing you know, hey, what? Just burn them. I mean, why don't you just do it? And like Hitler was right. But I don't get it. See, it's one thing to fight against something where I can push back against it, or I understand it, outflank them, outthink them, out-funny them, out them. But I just can't get my head around what they're doing. What do you mean Hitler was right? I know what they mean. But what do you mean what he mean? Where is that? So I don't understand. And that's the when I get down to the bottom of the abyss, there's just no understanding down there. You keep on, that's.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good sign for society that we're choosing to picking and choosing the things we like or dislike about history and removing them from books. Now, to what extent this was being done prior to me being aware of it, I don't know. This might have been going on for generations, and maybe that's just how we've come to the knowledge that we have. But I'm personally disturbed about like movie being changed and our sensibilities changing and going back and kind of playing revisionist historians and kind of removing it to protect the sensibilities of the future. I don't know how you feel about any of that.
Well, protecting the sensibility of the futures is the way to go. That's a good idea.
But is it at the expense of ignoring or acting like our history didn't happen? That's kind of my question.
No, I think what it is, and maybe it's because, a lot of stuff that we used to throw at the television set when we were in Second City in the committee, when we were kids, growing up, watching TV and thinking, satire and this is bullshit. And so I see that coming back. I see that, but I see it coming out at me. I see now interviewers saying the bullshit to me. So you people out there, you don't know what's going on. So, is it just a rerun?
So when it's coming at you, do you mean in like an accusatory style? Like what did you guys leave us, this planet? Or how do they come to you?
When I try to get my information, what I think is believable, what is true. When I watch or read something or I read books. Well, I read books, like
that guy.
Like that guy, Senses of Humor, or books like I'm trying to think of George Orwell. Now there was a smart guy who knew what was going on, tried to change things, saw it, told it like it was, like it is, like it was, but it doesn't do any good. I guess the accumulation of books and knowledge hopefully has something to do with it. Just a massive amount of just information might help, but I read, like Kurt Vonnegut, man, he said it all. And I think, he said it. There's nothing more to write. So nothing's changed. Kurt Vonnegut was right. He put it down in lots of books. He wrote 29 books. He knew what was going on. And yet, here we are in the same trouble. So,
what good is knowledge if we don't act on it or use it, right?
Right.
So say that again?
I said, what good is knowledge if we don't act on it or use it?
Well, yeah. So all these books and all these libraries, and this guy's saying, don't. But in other words, all the writers and all the intelligent people wrote all the intelligent stuff.
Right.
Bob
We have to
Dylan
act
owned the
on it.
60s, and then he grew up.
As a young fan of comedy, I was always drawn to George Carlin. George Carlin always had that cutting wit and that just get right to the point and really telling us where he thought society was and where society was going to end up. And he ended up being, in my mind, I mean, he is, I look at him as and many comedians as a philosopher. He was really trying to really forward some knowledge and do it in a humorous way, but really telling a true real story about our lives.
That's what I like to do with the book. That's what I tried to do. I said, look, if you want to look at showbiz, I mean, this is the intent, was if you want to look at showbiz, because I see fans, they just blow my mind with their miscasting of information that they receive. And they think it's all glamour, and it's not glamour at all. To me, it's kind of depressing. So I back off from it. But so I wrote this book to say, if you want to look at show business, here's another way of looking at it, a different way of looking at it, the way I saw it. And I was in it, acting with all these famous people, famous directors. And I would say to them what I'm saying to you. And they nodded and they laughed. But nothing changed. And they went on with their work. John Huston is amazing. And I said once to him, I said, hey, John, nobody would call him the right thing. I mean, everybody would call him something different, John or Mr. Houston or Sir. Everybody was calling him different. And I said, hey, John, can I ask you a question? And he goes, yes. That deep voice. I said, if you tried, have you ever heard of the Maltese Falcon? So I wanted to catch him. He thought for a second, humoring me along. He thought he says, yeah, I've heard of it. I said, if you tried to make that movie now, you could never do it, ever. And he thought for a minute. We were just walking. So I said, so he said, really? Because he didn't know what I was going for. He said, and why would that be? He said, because it's all a bunch of rooms. It's in black and white, and it's all talk. It's just pages and pages of talk. And then every once in a while, you'd go outside, and it was dark out. I said, nobody would ever make a movie like that today. Dark, black and white, all talking. No. And he thought for a moment, and he said, you're right. And then he went on about his business, what he was doing. And I just thought, well, at least I got to talk to him. And he said I was right. But, I mean, it was kind of a silly little conversation. I just wanted to talk to him. And that's the only way I talk to him. But yeah, so in other words, the movie that he was making and the movies that he's made, he said what he had to say. And yet we're still in this, now we're making movies about that again. So it is circular. I guess, Bob, he was talking about it being circular. Yeah. But sooner or later, it's just circular. It's not spiraling upward. It's circular. Yeah. And that's dangerous. And I see it's circular. And I think everybody else is hoping it's spiral.
Yeah, because you hear many people on the sidelines saying we should do this, we should do that. We have this knowledge, we should, but there's no intent to do it. There's no momentum.
Yeah, or very little intent. I see people sometimes, trying. So, and then like Bob Dylan said to somebody, he said, a lot of people, I mean, he just got mad with what was going on, the fan talk that was going on. So he said, a lot of people say I own the 60s. Well, if I do, you want them? You can have them. They're yours. I mean, he was just sick of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you could see he wasn't trying to make a point. He was just sick of it. Just, yeah. But, and yeah, I mean, that's what all of these famous people, that's why I wrote the book. And now that I wrote the book, I'm trying to sell it. And I'm trying to think, well, why should this person buy this book? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's thousands of books out there. This is just one more book. You know, I'm beginning to think, why did I write the book? I mean, it was, well, in the bigger picture, the way I get through life is I think everybody has a piece of the puzzle. And if you do something, you just add another piece of the puzzle. And down the road, somebody will see the whole puzzle. And they'll go,
right.
Oh, wow, man.
Well, I mean, it
adds their piece. So that's why you should do something.
Well, and a big thing about like your career is you weren't just in the scenes, you were behind the scenes, and you got to see a lot of it, the stuff that people.
Yeah, so that's why I thought I would give everybody a peek, not to the the sexual affairs or the the secret stuff, or no, I just want to see what an ordinary person who got to be an actor saw and then got out. Mm-hmm. Said, hey, this is what I saw. It's like George Orwell when he said, when he wrote Down and Out in Paris and London, he didn't want to live down and out in Paris and London, but he was passing through being down and out in Paris and London. Mm-hmm. And he wrote about it, and he wrote about it in a very magnificent way, a very awe-inspiring way. But it was the dregs, man. But he told the truth, told the dregs, and went on with his life, went on to write 1984 an Animal Farm. But when he was there, he wrote what was before him. And so that Down and Out in Paris and London is just one more piece of the puzzle. I mean, nobody will ever, what gets me through the day is nobody will ever see the puzzle that their piece, helped build.
Right.
It's for the ages, I don't know, for somebody else, some other thing that comes from somewhere else to find. I remember, you know Steve Allen? You remember Steve Allen? Did
yes.
TV a long time ago. He wrote a book. He used to write short stories, and one of them he wrote a short story about a foreign alien coming down to. We had disappeared eons before, but he came down. He found the detritus, the leavings, the garbage of these things that had lived on this planet. So they didn't know what it was. It was all foreign to them. They were just foreign things. So they gathered all of this stuff up, took them back to their own planet, and they started to study, well, what is this? But they were holding up like things that we ordinarily, like they'd hold up a pen. They couldn't figure out what the fuck it was, but they were a natural thing. This is the things that moved on this planet created this or shitted it or done something. And they would go through and they had all these different kinds of things. And it was really curious what the writer was picking out as what these aliens found. But finally their science started to figure out and build what these things were. Now, some things were actually like skeletons of the things that lived here, and other things were things they used or built or ate. So they started to build it up, and what they finally came to the conclusion was, and they finally made a model of what the things were that were on this planet that left all this detritus. And it was Pluto. It was a cartoon. They had only found our movies and our machinery and our selling, their advertising. Mm-hmm. And they had built, and they thought, oh, this is a cartoon planet. The beings lived on there were like Mickey Mouse. They didn't say that the skeletons were the Mickey Mouse skeleton. That's what they looked like when they were alive. It was kind of cool. I don't know. But yeah, I kind of think that's, for somebody else to figure out what was here. And it's sad because I think we're good enough and cool enough and hopefully smart enough to survive, to
Right.
endure, and so I get sad sometimes. I get sad. I really do. Not very sad, but we are kind of nice. In other words, the baby part of the Babies with Samurai. Like what kind of animal would build an atomic bomb? What kind of animal would try to blow up a nuclear plant?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's us. That's Homo sapiens.
Mm.
Russians are Homo sapiens.
Yeah.
These people that we put in jail are Homo sapiens. People that kill other people are Homo sapiens. I mean, that's us. The people that overfish, people that are stupid, they're Homo sapiens. I mean, if we think we're so smart, no, we're just part of an. I mean, we can go on like this.
Yeah,
what we're doing
sure.
is there's no solution. We will not be able to see the puzzle that we helped solve.
I mean, Larry, you've played some roles in some pretty big films that's always going to have your name out there, and that's something, especially
until it gets burned up in the Holocaust.
Yeah. Wow.
But yes, I know where you're going. I know. Thank you for it. And yes, that's what I did when I was here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other stuff that'll turn up, and there's other stuff that I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And and then somebody will figure it out. But it ain't going to be us, and I'm sad to say, because we are pretty cool. How this thumb is connected to here, and who figured that out. That I could grasp something. All that shit. That's anthropology.
Yes.
I always thought that I was a stand-up anthropologist. That's what I always wanted.
Oh, I love it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I thought about how far we've been, how far we think we've come, and how far we are. And I was doing something very simple the other day. I was working around my house, and I was dealing with a multitude of keys. I had keys for my shed, and I had keys for my gate. And I was pondering, I'm like, this is how the sadness of man there, where I have to lock and secure all of these things. But then I really pondered it, and I'm like, really, when I thought about it, it's no new thing. You see, they have skeleton keys that go back, maybe thousands of years and all. Oh, yeah. And to me, it just gave me this whole overall thought about just our survival. It's like that people must have been, people have been trying to survive and at any cause or any rate they can, to the extent they'll steal your stuff, to the extent that keys have been a part of our society for thousands of years, and how I'm still holding a key all of these thousands of years later, and people are still on the level where they're fighting for their survival on that level. So
yeah, that's really cool, because when I was growing up as a little kid, and you had a grandpa, I had a grandpa, and the reason that I thought he was wise, and that I got the feeling that he was wise, was because he at one time had keys. He was a manager of an apartment house, and he had a lot of keys. And I thought keys were the connection to wisdom, that anybody who had a lot of keys was a wise person.
Okay.
And then, when I grew up and I had a lot of keys, I thought, well, that's not true all the time. But yeah, no, I had a connection to keys, about the magic of keys.
Wow.
And during, back in the day, because somebody needed to lock something up, because somebody was going to take something up. And
right.
Then whenever I pass someplace and I see a door is open where they didn't lock, and I said, wow, somebody didn't lock their door.
Yeah.
How, you're memorable. I was thinking this morning while talking to Bobby, I kept thinking films I could remember. You played. I'm loving this interview. Oh, cool. Well, that's good. Okay, thanks. Well, help us with this. Help us solve the puzzle. The big
We're going to do it right here tonight.
Yeah. So keys do have an inherent a magicness to them. That I thought there were wisdom. You thought there were.
That's interesting. You made that association. So I kind of relieved myself thinking, well, I guess it's no different than things have been. It's not like things have gotten worse, and that's the reason I'm holding keys today. It's been integrated in our society for literally thousands of years. And it wasn't the sign of our society degrading that I might have thought it was when I was handling all these keys.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I just wonder, in the future, if you look back, what are we doing now that they will think is really stupid that we look back on, in the 17th, 15th century, 14th century ago?
Well, we also kind of like hide ourselves from the reality of things, or blind ourselves. I grew up Pentecostal, going to church 4 days a week, couldn't listen to TV, couldn't listen to radio. Like for years, there's one way you lived, and that was it. Nothing else existed.
Yeah.
So when I got out of that, and I saw that, whoa, that's not real. That's not how it is out here.
Yeah. Well, that's another reason I wrote the book. I was writing it for the fans, and I didn't want to, and I never want to be a fan, although I have been a fan, and I didn't like myself after looking back and saying, geez, I would scare people running up to them looking for an autograph, scare a famous person who was older. Who was it? I don't know. Well, one of these famous, action heroes.
Right.
Like a Clint Eastwood, but back in the day when I was growing up. And I saw him coming out of a hotel, and he had white hair by then. He'd probably been retired for a while. And I was walking uptown in New York City, and he came out of a hotel, and I ran to him to get his autograph. And I running from behind. And he heard me, and he whirled around, and he saw this young guy, he was about 18. So this 18-year-old, I'm 6'4", running at him. And I could see him, he went like that, He went, oh. And I stopped right away, and I thought, whoa, I didn't, hey, I'm sorry, I just want to get your autograph. And he looked at me, and he was just, because I made him feel like he didn't want to feel, because he got angry, and he said, don't you ever do that. Don't you ever run up to me or anybody else like that. You scared the shit out of me. Said, what the hell do you think you're doing? This is one of my heroes. He's, old guy, and so I thought, okay, that fan, that's over. Okay. But I always remember that, and when I got into Hollywood and started being an actor, I would see it all. I was surrounded by it, especially fans of people who I was working with, like fans of Clint Eastwood, fans of Chandler or whatever. And I'd go back, or when they threw a party, and you see they had chains around, please sign this thing. So I wrote the book to say, no, it's not like what you think it's like. This is how it's put together, with baling wire and paste, and people who are angry, and people who don't know what they're doing, and geniuses. Yeah, you see geniuses too, and you can't get awed by them either. You got to treat them like you treated the stupid guy and the guy who was just doing his job. I mean, get real. Right. So that's why I wrote the book. Right. It's not wow all the time.
Where can people buy the book? I'm Amazon.
Amazon. You can go on Amazon, or you go to, it's printed by Bear Manor Media. You can go to their website, Bear Manor Media, and you can buy it on their website. And go to Patreon. They're going to sell it too, or have a connection to Amazon. But Amazon, that guy, there's another that guy. I did it because I was that guy. Everybody would point at me and say, well, I'll call it that. But I did it, and I released it, and I put it on Amazon. But there's another book called That Guy by a black guy called That Guy. I don't know his name. I didn't want to hang around long enough to absorb any information. Deflect. He doesn't. If I don't know about him, he doesn't exist. There's another book I don't know about.
Selective ignorance.
That you just have Larry Hankin, or that guy Larry Hankin. I typed in just Larry Hankin, and I went to that other guy.
Maybe you should be that white guy or something. Maybe that
white guy. No. So now I'm very careful about anything that I call. I just took that out of the air. They want to know. They said, well, what are you going to call this? We're ready to publish it. So I just, that guy. I mean, I thought for a while, but that guy came to me, and I think, But next time I gotta do some research, due diligence. I gotta do to find out, to get an original title. And then here's another thing I found out: 80% of the people who buy books are women. Go figure that. So they want something womanly in it. Not that I could do that, but it would be good if you thought women would buy this more than me. So you got to be careful about that. I didn't pay any attention to it. I just wrote it. I think you can do that in memoir. In memoir, you can write what you have to write, which is how you see the world.
Right.
That's what they want to see. People who buy memoir. But if you buy a biography, you have to prove it. If you do even fiction, it has to be. You can't use my name or your name, anybody's name. In a biography, you have to get your permission. If I used your name in a biography, a biography of mine, my biography, if I call it a biography, I have to get your permission to use your name. Well, I talked to him. I have to get your permission. But if I say it's a memoir, I don't have to ask you for diddly squat. As long as it's a remembrance.
It's fascinating how if you categorize it or parse it out, you can get away with certain things just by what you refer to it as.
And I talked to you, but I remembered wrong what you said. And you can't touch me. I forgot. Sorry. So it's so. I don't know. I'm running out of things to talk about.
Hey, it's and that's I want to wrap this up, and I appreciate you coming on. I'm glad that we kind of got to circle through a lot of these topics and end up still talking about the book. Cool. This has been a hell of a show, and
it's a great book. Buy it. It's a great book. I'm telling you, you won't be sorry.
Oh, of course. Of course, you know what, and I will. I will actually send you a picture of me holding.
Oh no, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to him.
No, but I will. I will to support you, man. I mean, that's part of why you're on here too, is to help promote the book. So
cool.
All right,
and save the planet. Yeah, save the planet.
No. I'm more interested in the book.
Oh, okay. No.
Look, you got a message from Stormy in the chat. We got a buyer right there. Look at that message.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that, Larry. You just sold a book, buddy.
Hey, Stormy. Yay, Stormy. We did it, guys. One at a time.
We got a book.
One at a time. So he's an author too, and he sells his book on the beach. He walks down the beach and he sells his book one at a time. And
so, Bobby, you got any more questions, man, before we kind of wrap this up? Or
no, man, I think I hit everything, and I really appreciate you joining us tonight. This has been a really fascinating, not only just talking about your life as an actor, but just talking about the anthropology stuff and life in general. I really appreciated this time. Thank you very much.
I appreciate talking to somebody, anybody. Stop strangers and say, hey, let's talk about anthropology. No, thank you. Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Again, thanks for doing an evening show, too. I know you don't typically.
I've never been up this late in show business in years. Television and movies shot during the day, and I meet friends. At night, I write. So this is great. Show business at night. Cool.
All right. And to everybody that did join in the chat, hey, thank you guys all. Stormy, Scott, Steven, My Lost Interest, Spirit Medium, Daniel, Bobby Fran. Of course, you're still in the chat too.
Just shouting out some people. Yeah, showing our appeappreciation.
Okay. And thank you very much. Okay. I got to leave because I've got things to do.
Have a wonderful evening, sir.
And you too.
We'll talk to you later.
There you go.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And again, until next time, you guys all have a wonderful evening.
Peace.